All City Award winners. We posted this in the chat, an agenda for today's session and a report on the winning mayors and their programs, which are best practices, and we hope you can learn from them. We welcome all of the award-winning mayors, the city staff, the business council members, the press, and guests. We thank you so much for joining us today. A special thanks again to Amy Hill, who's been our friend for many years, working with us as partnership, doing great things. Thank you, Amy. And I want to recognize also our great leader, Harmon Mayor Jim Brainerd, who moderates today, but he's also, chairs our climate task force, and he's been a part of the mayors that have kept climate protection going, even though we left the Paris Accords. We will continue to work at it. We look forward to working with the new administration to get back in the Paris Accords and continue the work that we've been doing all along. It's back on the national agenda. It's a big picture issue, but it also comes down to the local level. And our new president, Mayor Fischer, indicates that it will be a big part of our winter meeting coming up. So with that, let me introduce our president, Louisville Mayor Greg Fischer, for his remarks. Mayor Fischer.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate you and the entire staff for helping us pull all this stuff through the year. And happy 2021 to everybody on the call here. I know we're all looking forward to flipping the calendar over what's been a pretty doggone challenging year when you put together the challenge of COVID, economic downturn, fight for racial justice, and then some of us are having very challenging years with climate as well. So this is some of the most coveted awards that the council gives out, or the conference gives out every year here with our climate awards. So when you kind of scan the country, what we've seen is wildfires raging, particularly in the West, superstorms around our Gulf and the East Coast, flooding in the heartland of the country. 2020 looks like it's going to be the hottest year on record as well. And so that's why mayoral leadership is more important than ever, because as we know, America pulled out of the Paris Accords. We didn't like that, but as America played out, or I say White House pulled out, mayors stayed in and leaned in even further to our commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So another example of mayoral leadership. Now, some people are still in this mindset of it's a trade-off. You can either have a good economy or good climate policies, but the reality is there's no choosing between a healthy environment, a healthy population, and a healthy economy. And I think the momentum is behind that, and that makes me feel really good in terms of the future. And we see that with all kinds of momentum now behind climate, sustainability, economy, the good jobs that come with that as well. And just the recognition that we all need to be working together, the public sector, the private sector, to address a climate emergency. Our partnership with Walmart is a perfect example of that on the private side. And then on the broad and public side, with the Biden-Harris administration coming in, clearly we have a whole different level of commitment to climate and sustainability, as seen in some of the announcements that have come out from the Biden-Harris team already. So we can feel good about their commitment. We've got to challenge Congress to make the same commitment also as we enter 2021. Now, as we look at a lot of these issues, what has stayed constant is mayoral leadership. I know in our city, we're constantly trying to mitigate our urban heat island effect here. And with so many of the challenges that we see throughout cities in America, it's the people of low income that get hurt the most. And our job as mayors, obviously, is to build more equitable cities, more equitable economy, make sure that any type of impact on our majority Black and brown neighborhoods are mitigated by the work that we do. So as we tackle all of these things, we also have to stop and say we're making progress. It's been such a challenging year that it's helpful to stop and say, we got a lot done in this year as well. It hadn't been all challenges, and that's what comes from being a mayor. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we know something is going to happen every day in the mayor's office that's going to be a challenge. We just don't know what it is, when it's going to happen, or where it will be. But it's going to happen, and sometimes multiple challenges as well. So it's good to step back and say, here's where we've done some good work, and certainly we've done it with climate as well. Want to thank San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo. He leads the conference's climate task force along with Carmel Mayor Jim Brainerd. Mayor Brainerd is going to facilitate here for us today. And I want to give a special shout out to Mayor Sherry Cantor for her achievements, which are deservedly recognized today as our winner. So great job, Mayor, for that. I know you feel good about it. And to the other award-winning mayors, let me just say to you all and your teams, a big thank you. This is going to be an invigorating session when we hear about all of our best practices that no doubt other communities across America are going to shamelessly copy and steal. And that's what we do as mayors. We see what other good ideas we can bring to our cities. We try to imitate, but then innovate in our cities. So we improve them a little bit before we pass them on to the next city. Now, I'd like to close with just a special thank you to Amy Hill. Amy's a longtime friend of the conference, Walmart's Senior Director for Public Affairs and State and Local Government Relations, and just the nicest person you ever want to meet as well. She is always there to help. 15 years now of these awards in partnership with Walmart in the conference. So, Amy, just want to say thank you again for your partnership, your company's leadership on climate and sustainability. And again, to all the mayors and their teams out there, keep the faith, keep good work going, keep pushing forward. Better days are always ahead. So with that, I'll pass it to our great friend of the conference, Amy Hill.
Oh, Mayor Fischer, thank you so much for your leadership, and thank you to Tom and all of the mayors. Congratulations so much for this great accomplishment. As Mayor Fischer and Tom indicated, Walmart's been on this journey for 15 years, and we've been a partner with the U.S. Conference of Mayors for the entire time, something I'm so proud of. I am sorry that we're not able to do this tribute in person this year, but just because you've all been faced with great challenges doesn't mean that you've done any less in protecting our climate with your actions. So thank you very much. I'm going to speak a little bit later in the program, but I will turn it over to Mayor Brainerd. If I'm not mistaken, Carmel, Indiana, and Mayor Jim were the award winners the second year of this. So for your project on roundabouts. So you are in great hands with a great mayor who knows a lot about climate protection. So over to you, Mayor Brainerd.
Well, thanks, Amy, and for everything you and Walmart have done for the conference. And to, you had me come to Bentonville a few years ago, and I was absolutely amazed at what the company was doing, bringing your major suppliers together to focus not just on cost savings, but on how those cost savings can translate to energy savings and good for the environment. And I thought, what a great approach to it. So thank you. I know that you've had great influence on what your company does in this area. I want to thank President Fischer, Tom Cochran, and everyone associated with this program. It's been an honor to help lead the work of the nation's mayors on climate protection. And as it was mentioned, I've had the honor to serve as co-chair of the conference's climate task force for some time. I think it was back when our mayor of Dearborn, the late departed mayor of Dearborn, was president that I started that. And a couple of you on here may know how long that's been. In fact, it was 15 years ago. I originally shared it with Seattle Mayor Greg Nichols. He was the mayor who launched the first climate movement. And we worked hard to get over 1,200 mayors to sign the climate protection agreement and set voluntary goals to improve the climate in their city many years ago. And in all this work, nothing has been more enjoyable than being part of this particular program. These awards that recognize and honor mayors who take our environment and our climate seriously and have made substantive gains in their respective cities. So today we will hear about mayoral leadership on this most urgent priority and learn more about what these mayors are doing in their cities to make a difference. They are remarkable and their work is very important. The conference for years has urged our federal and state partners to work with us at the local level, to invest with us and to invest in our initiatives. To recognize the pathway to zero carbon future is grounded in local action and more often than not led by mayors. That is why the conference's members have made refunding the Energy Block Grant Program, what we call the EECBG, such a high priority. As most of you know, we got it into federal law, working with several partners many years ago. It's been funded once, and that was during the stimulus and the recession of 2008, 2010. Hasn't been funded since, but we want to continue to work on this, and I'm optimistic we may be able to get that program or a similar one funded again. That's the right strategy now, and I'm very optimistic about the incoming administration, the ability to get that done. I think people on the Republican side of the aisle will also like the local federal partnership aspect of it. So with that, I'm going to turn to today's awards, and we're going to honor mayors of cities today under 100,000 in population for their climate leadership. We have one first place awardee, our top winner, and 5 honorable mention winners. And so this is the format of our session today. First, I'm going to introduce our top winner in this category. She has some remarks, and then we will have a discussion. I'll introduce each of the 5 winners to you, and then pose questions to each of them before moving on. Then, time permitting, we'll have some discussion at the end. So our first place winner, we have a drum roll. Somebody have a drum back there? Yeah, there you go, Amy. It's Mayor Sherry Cantor of West Hartford, Connecticut. And Mayor Cantor is being honored today as our first place winner of the small city category. She's being recognized specifically for her city's virtual net metering program. She's in her second term as mayor and has held elective office in the city of West Hartford since 2004. So I'm pleased to welcome and congratulate our top award winner, Mary Sherry Cantor.
Thank you so much, Mayor Brainerd. It is a pleasure to be with you all. It is really an honor. We actually have a foot of snow outside and it is beautiful. So it is a real pleasure to be here. Thank you to the U.S. Conference for Mayors, the leadership of Tom Cochran, Mayor Fischer for your leadership, and of course, Mayor Brainerd for facilitating this and for all your contributions. And to Walmart, thank you for your partnership over the years. This couldn't have happened without your contributions. I also want to congratulate Mayor Peduto of Pittsburgh. I actually tuned in at noon to listen to the large city category, and I had my neighbor to the east, the mayor of Hartford, the city of Hartford, our capital city, who won honorable mention for energy justice. And we're so proud of the work that he does and his sustainability officer, Shibuda Kamli, does as well. And I also want to give a shout out to my energy specialist, Catherine Divinity, who's on the line here. We were the first actually town in the or municipality in the state of Connecticut to have an energy specialist. And it was somebody that really dove into the energy issues and really brought us up to speed on what's going on nationally and how internationally and how we can do a better job. So I also want to thank the amazing members of our community who contribute to this cause every day and are so impassioned and leaders in our community as well. So I appreciate all of that. And thank you for honoring me and honoring our town and letting all of the mayors here. I'm joined by some great innovative mayors, and I'm so excited to hear from them. And I am really appreciative to be a part of the conversation. So our distinct project that we submitted for this is called Virtual Net Metering. And it is a specific program where we purchased solar from an offsite property company within Connecticut. The legislature allowed us to do this. And shortly after this legislation passed, it was very appealing. Our energy specialist brought it to leadership, and and talked it through. It was something that nobody had done in Connecticut, and really we hadn't heard of it. And so it's a virtual real solar that's 50 miles away from us. But we basically committed to purchasing the credits, a portion of the credits that they generated off of their solar. We are a fairly, we're in a suburban urban town. We don't have a lot of land. And we don't have the ability to have large solar generation. We do have 14 projects in our own community, and they're roof projects. And so we do a lot, but it's not enough nearly to energize our municipal buildings. The energy from what we are doing in this solar project, this virtual metering project, powers 8 of our municipal buildings. So that's pretty cool. This program, again, is a unique program, and obviously somebody else thought that was unique too, because I'm here. So we just want to make sure that you're aware that this is something that is possible. And again, leadership matters, and we all know how much it matters. The leadership from the federal government matters, and whether it's block grants so municipalities can do what they know will work best in their communities, and to take those small steps to the big things. But we know that leadership is so critical, and our legislature made some changes to allow us to do that, which was really important. So it's what is so unique about this is we didn't outlay any money. We just committed to purchasing those credits so that solar farm could be built. And without the commitment of a municipality to purchase that solar, we would not have to allow for that credit in the contract. This wouldn't have happened. So that partnership is so important. Again, it's a private-public partnership. And it took also the Connecticut Green Bank, the financing of the Green Bank, and then obviously tax laws as well to make sure that this is a viable project. It has broad application, and I think what's most exciting about this program is the future of the program. We, again, were the first ones in Connecticut to do that, one of the first that we know about. But imagine the potential in community generation of solar, where you don't have the capacity to put it on a home or the financial, either the actual physical capacity or the economic capacity to do that. And the low moderate income impact of a solar, a community shared solar is really would be remarkable. And the neighbor to the north actually did the first community shared solar project as well. And theirs is geared towards a low to moderate income offset costs for their residents. And that's really, again, where I think the highest potential of growth and benefit to all of our communities are. And as mayors, it helps to contribute to the goals that we have of really being of pushing economic development. Obviously, we know we want that. Jobs are so critical, especially now in this COVID world, and those renewable resources to truly change the curve and bend that curve of the climate change that we're on right now. And we know we need to take dramatic steps to get there. But what's important is those small steps will add to bigger steps. So don't be afraid to take those small steps. I just want to say again that this is just one of the programs that we have employed and are part of, but we are always looking at things we can do better. And some of them will cost money and some of them won't. And so all the things that we can do that don't have an initial outlay is really appealing. And this is one of those projects. So I am really excited to hear from all of you. But I just want to know that there is a commitment that we have, and I know all of us at the table here have. We're again preaching to the choir to these great mayors that I'm joined with today. Again, Mayor Brainerd, thank you for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and congratulations again on this award. Stay safe with all that snow. We only have 2 inches outside my window. It's melting. But it's great to hear about that project. I agree with you that it has tremendous potential for making a real difference in many of our cities. If you were to, obviously, the state legislature has to go along, and that's been an issue I know in some states. But if a mayor wanted to adopt virtual net metering in their city, what would 1 or 2 things be that would help speed the project along?
Well, I think it's understanding, number one, what virtual net metering is, right? It's not, you are actually not hosting solar. It's really a financial arrangement to support the investment of solar, the building of solar and making that happen. So it's a financial agreement. So I would tap into people that have done it before and have the expertise of people like Catherine Divinity, my energy specialist, and have them help to walk through the legal documents, because really, again, it is a legal agreement and a financial agreement, more so than truly an energy agreement, but you're supporting renewable energy by having that financial commitment. We actually shared this, our knowledge, with the city of Hartford, who then actually invested in the same way and doubled the size of this particular solar farm. So, which was a great thing, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We gave them, we shared what we did, and so they were up and going fairly quickly. So that was wonderful. Yeah, I think
that is helpful. Let me ask you one more thing, and that is, I'm sure, like every program that's implemented for the first time, there were some hiccups. What were they in your case, so that other mayors might be able to learn from those and avoid them?
I think number one is just doing something no one's ever done before, right? And people are skeptical. And I think government is, one of my, the Bloomberg webinars that I went to talked about governments work in this world of probability, right? And by the time it gets to us, the ideas are oftentimes so vetted that they've lost their risk and they will succeed, but they've lost a lot of innovation along with them. And rather, we should be governing, especially in this world now, in a way of probability. And not everything we do is going to work. Not everything we are going to do is going to work to the extent we want it to, and we can pivot and change and be a little more innovative and reactive. So that's really important. But one of the things was the utility bill. We needed to actually find out the value of those credits before we could then, it's the timing of the issue and making sure. And so I think you all know utility bills aren't always that easy to read and understand. So it was going through those utility bills and figuring out the true value of those credits, and then having that financial arrangement of paying back the credits that we committed to and keeping the credits for ourselves. This year we saved $72,000. It's a 20-year contract. So we save over $1 million, and we have 63,500 people. So it's significant in our budget.
Well, I have one final question, and that, I think racial and equity and environmental justice concerns are finally coming to the fore and how they interact. Can you talk about how this initiative interacted with those considerations?
So I don't know if any of you tuned in at the noon session, but again, the mayor of Hartford spoke about HIT and environmental justice and the work they've done. A lot of times our cities have a lot of the industrial facilities that, whether it's a trash facility or whatever it is, that sits in their community, and it impacts residents, whatever community that is. It impacts, whether it's asthma or lack of brandless growth for one thing. Economically, it hurts those communities. So sharing that responsibility, and obviously limiting what we do, the impact into our urban centers and to areas that are economically challenging, those are things that we need to do. So what can we do? We can generate solar in other locations and provide those jobs. But I think the biggest potential here is for that community-based solar, shared solar, that people can tap into without that financial investment, making a commitment to buy renewable energy, buy solar energy from a particular place, and creating jobs to build out that solar. But it's not an initial outlay, but it actually offsets rising energy costs. And especially in the Northeast, that's been a real challenge. So I think that, affordability, obviously being aware of the environmental impacts of buying renewable energies and that long-term benefit of bending that curve of climate change, but the immediate impact of not burdening our economically challenged areas and having more equitable responsibility.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. Congratulations again, and thanks for that thoughtful discussion too, which I think will help other mayors. Next, I want everyone to be able to hear from the other winning mayors. So let me first introduce them all and their winning programs. Albany, New York Mayor Kathy Sheehan being honored for her streetlight replacement program. Framingham Mayor, Dr. Mayor Yvonne Spice. I think it's important to say Mayor, Doctor. It's educational PhDs and those law degrees are hard to come by too. For efficient Framingham. Manhattan Beach, former Mayor Richard Montgomery for Climate Ready program. San Leandro Mayor Pauline for her city solar and energy efficiency and wastewater operations. And finally, San Luis Obispo Mayor Heidi Harmon for the Clean Energy Choice Program for new buildings. So let's start with Mayor Sheehan. Congratulations on Albany's streetlight replacement program. I have to say, taking ownership of nearly 11,000 streetlights is no small task.
That's right. And thank you, Mayor Brainerd. And I want to thank the U.S. Conference and thank Amy and Walmart for sponsoring this and for really highlighting the importance of what we're doing in cities around climate, trying to prevent climate change and trying to be good stewards of the environment. And it was not without controversy. There were a lot of skeptical council members when we talked about buying our streetlights. But we did a lot of work with our consultants. We had help from NYPA, which is the New York Power Authority, and we had the benefit of a great energy manager who did all of the analysis. And so ultimately, we were able to convince the council that we truly were going to be able to buy our lights and still save $2 million nearly a year. So we did that, and the conversion is almost done, and it's been a huge success.
Well, thank you and congratulations. We've done something similar here over many years, and it's harder than one might realize until you try to start doing it. So thank you very much. What would you tell a mayor contemplating a similar action? Any advice?
You know, I think you have to have answers to those tough questions that your council members and your residents are going to ask. You have to work within, a regulatory structure. But, for us, it wasn't just about the energy efficiency. What we really figured out was that this was about public safety. This was about our equity agenda within our city. This was about creating safer streets. And so when you look beyond just the environmental impacts, which are significant, and look at what else you are impacting with respect to quality of life, we've really found that our residents are so enthusiastic about these new lights. They talk about them, they think about them, like my fellow mayor, and congratulations to New Hartford on your big win. We have 22 inches of snow outside, and it was a very, very difficult storm, 22 inches in a very short period of time. And even my plow drivers talk about how much easier it is to plow the streets with our brighter, more efficient LED streetlights.
We used our energy environmental block grant close to 10 years ago, which out over 90% of our lights to LEDs. And it's a story I like to tell. Carmel traditionally has been a 70% Republican area, but it also voted for President Biden. So it's interesting. But that aside, I had a very conservative guy, climate denier, come up to me when I was in the middle of doing this, just giving me a hard time about spending this money and how climate change was a joke and wasn't real. And so I was politely listening to him, as mayors have to do. We all have been in situations like that. Finally, I thought, there's different, saying to myself, there are different ways to get to the same end. This guy obviously a fiscal conservative. So I said to him, I said, kind of return have you gotten in the bank this year? And he told me, well, we're getting a 22% return on investment, 22% return on investment annually by switching our lights from the old system to LEDs. He went away happy, not because we were helping the environment, but because he saw a cost savings. So I think there's ways in many of these things, even people who don't necessarily agree that we should be tackling climate change, and we all know they're out there, especially in certain parts of the country, that we can talk about other benefits, and many of them are cost saving and efficiency benefits. So anyway, it's a great program. Congratulations, Mayor. Next, we're going to Framingham, Massachusetts. Mayor Yvonne Spicer, as I said earlier, Dr. Yvonne Spicer is being honored today for Efficient Framingham Initiative. You'd like to tell us about it?
Sure would. Thank you, Mayor. A pleasure to be here this afternoon. And I would first like to say thank you to the U.S. Conference of Mayors and, of course, Walmart for this opportunity. Framingham being a relatively new city, we are a 3-year-old city. And I am the first mayor of the city of Framingham. A little more, almost 2 years ago, I had the good fortune to hire our sustainability coordinator, Sean Lewis. And Sean immediately hit the ground running, looking at ways in which we could save resources in our city. And part of that was looking at opportunities to partner with our power company, and in order to look at rebates for residents and other cost-saving measures that not only saved our residents money, but also made our buildings much more energy efficient, making sure that we are not contributing to the ill effects of climate change as much as we possibly can. And that was the impetus of Efficient Framingham. So, all of the ways in which we can be much more efficient in terms of the changing out all of our lighting to new LED upgrades, and which has made a significant difference in savings. How do we pass these opportunities on to residents? And like some of my other colleagues, we had about 13 to 14 inches of snow last night. So, these are the kinds of things that, when you think about here in the Northeast, what you need to do differently in order to not only save resources, but also be a better stewards of the land that is left to us. And that is the other part of this initiative that Framingham is very focused on as well.
Well, thank you very much. It sounds like you're doing wonderful work in Framingham. Wish you well and stay in with all that snow out there.
Yes.
I have a daughter living in Brookline in Boston. And
oh, yes.
She was commenting, she doesn't have a car there. She was walking through a lot of snow the last few days. Mm-hmm. We'll now hear from 3 more winners, all from California, but each with a different story. First is Mayor Richard Montgomery, who applied and was selected for this award 2 weeks ago or so, rotated out under his city's system, and a new mayor took office. So former mayor and still councilman Richard Montgomery is here today. And congratulations, Richard. So let me ask you to talk about the main driver that prompted your city to adopt your Climate Ready program, including your 100% renewable goal.
Thank you, Mayor Brandon. Jim, good to see you. Actually been in Manhattan Beach. Good to see you again. I wish it was in person.
Yes, we all wish we were in person.
Those who don't know, our city, Manhattan Beach, is southwest of Los Angeles. We're small. We're 4.1 square miles. 2 miles of that is beach. But the good news is 70 degrees here. No snow, 70 degrees and sunshine.
We knew you'd tell us that.
A shout out to the U.S. Conference of Mayors and my friends Amy Hill. I saw Amy somewhere. Then Javier Argulio's here as well. I've known him for a long time. Thank you both. And my environmental programs manager, Dana Murray's here. She's the brains behind our whole city and our sustainability efforts. So Dana's here somewhere as well. But we we acquired Dana from Heal the Bay. My sister cities in California, San Leandro and San Luis Obispo, all know what the word Heal the Bay is. They're an environmental group that watches our coastline. So for us, most of you all know this, the cities have been leaders on the front line when it comes to climate change. The biggest thing that we did, and people are following along, is 100% of our energy is Clean Power Alliance, all renewable energy. I think we're one of the first, if not the first city in California to follow that lead. And our residents are following behind us, which is a good thing. So I know that Mayor talked about in Albany about the LED lights. We did that as well, Kathy, so thank you for that. We also have something here in California called sea level rise. The state gets its mind look at what the sea level rise effect would be and what's happening to all of our cities. But more importantly, we point out things that our residents got behind early. The plastic bag ban, polystyrene bans, and the smoking bans. We want to protect our beach. First and foremost, that's one of our highest priorities. And with that, someone like Dana alongside with us, the climate plan isn't just what you see, what you don't see. The reducing of emissions our residents don't see, they support. So with Dana's help and our council's help, residents' helps, we made a great impact. Now we'll see where we are 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Good to see you, Jim.
Good to see you as well, Richard, and thank you very much for this work. It's great work.
Thank you.
Let me now recognize one of your colleagues to the north, San Leandro Mayor Pauline Cutter. Mayor Cutter is being honored today for her initiative, Solar and Energy Efficiency and Wastewater Operations. And I think many mayors still overlook the full potential for reducing carbon emissions to basic city operations. We need to be looking at every essential function that we do and asking those department heads to find ways to save energy. And just as the case in our city, we here in Carmel, the 100,000 people, we spend over $1 million a year in energy costs just for water and wastewater operations. And that's the case, I think, cities that do own those utilities. So, Mayor, thank you for your efforts and bringing this issue to the fore of the debate. What would you tell other cities looking to overhaul their wastewater treatment operations to accomplish what you've done in San Leandro?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you to the conference and Mayor Brainerd, Amy from Walmart for sure, and just really for the conference to continue to recognize the importance of climate change and how it affects all of our cities. Not only is it important, but it's urgent. And I want to acknowledge our Director of Maintenance, Debbie Pollard, who's on the line. As people say, the brains behind the operation. We get these ideas, but we have people that, really know the nuts and bolts of things and also figure it out. And Debbie's been brilliant at that. And congratulations to my fellow mayors. It's really nice to see you. I was hoping by January we'd be able to get together. Now we're looking towards Austin, but someday soon in 2021, I believe it's the day or the time that we're all going to get together, and I'm looking forward to that. Also taking notes from some of the mayors. You're not a good mayor if you don't steal ideas, and so that's what we do best. And then,
Mayor,
as you said,
stealing, it's best practices.
Appropriating, as I say. I'm appropriating some ideas. Yeah. But what I want to just say is, as you pointed out, look no further than some of the big energy suckers that you have in your city. And for us, we designated the wastewater treatment area, and then through Debbie's work and some of our staff, we recommend looking out for those potential grants that might help, because for you to say this is what we need, that's great, but now find the money for it, that's another whole problem. And so for the city of San Leandro, we were able to secure a $1.9 million grant from California Energy Commission, and that covered about 50% of our project. And as you mentioned, our wastewater treatment plant is the biggest user of electricity, with more than $550,000 budgeted every year for that. And so with our new 1 megawatt solar array, we're anticipating to cover about 45% of that energy needs. So the first 3 months of data we have so far shows that we're exceeding our goal. And so we're really happy about that. And then the project will annually produce about 1.6 million kilowatts hours of energy. It is going to reduce the load on fossil fuel power plants and prevent release of over 2,700,000 pounds of greenhouse gas emissions annually. And it's also going to mitigate some of the impacts of climate change for California. You know, we may not have snow, and today we're probably measuring how much sunblock we're using, but we do have wildfires, and San Leandro was severely affected by not having wildfires in our city, but we're probably 100 miles south of Napa area and, you know, the wine country that was really impacted Santa Rosa. And there was one day that we had orange skies. It was surreal. You walked outside and the skies were orange. And so anything we can do to help that, because it just shows we're not in this individually. Each city doesn't improve climate for their own city. We're in this for the world. And so we really do need to partner with people to get climate change taken care of. And this is just a great start hearing from some of my fellow mayors. So I appreciate this. And Amy, thank you very much for the award.
Pauline, it's good to see you, and thank you for everything you're doing for your city. It's a great example. Finally, we honor San Luis Obispo Mayor Heidi Harmon for her city's Clean Energy Choice program for new buildings. Many mayors are not as familiar with Clean Energy Choice programs that you've implemented in your city. So could you offer some advice about setting up such a program and the benefits you've seen in reducing carbon emissions?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, first of all, to the U.S. Conference of Mayors for this honor. As a longtime climate activist, especially doing a lot of work against fracking, which our policy is directly related to, I'm especially proud of this. I had come to the city years ago as a community member to try and volunteer to implement the climate action plan. And so I'm so grateful to be in a position to make things like this happen. It's climate crisis that was the issue that inspired me to get politically engaged. So this is very exciting. I want to just start also by honoring Chris Reed, our sustainability manager, who is here with us today on the call, if anyone has any technical questions, and also our community development director, Michael Codron, who partnered to bring this policy to life. We also have a very robust volunteer community group. We call it the Climate Coalition. It's a group of volunteers without whom we could not probably have gotten this through. We actually went through a lot to bring this policy to life. And I just want to also name for the other electeds on the call, I just went through an election in which overturning this policy was a part of my opponent's platform. And I'm happy to say that I won by a mandate. So I hope that this encourages other mayors to pursue policies like this as well. In terms of advice, so we experienced significant a dramatic, I would say, pushback from the gas industry on this policy. If you'll recall, if you're familiar at all in California, I believe we were the second city in the state after Berkeley to pursue a similar policy. Berkeley's was an outright ban. Ours is not a ban, but nevertheless, the gas workers union was, as you would imagine, deeply concerned about our policy. And unfortunately, they were not able to express that concern in a constructive way. So they, I would say, really infiltrated our community with intentional misinformation and outright threats. For example, they threatened to come to our city during COVID and bring busloads of people, potentially, I guess the implication would be that they might have been potentially COVID positive, to infiltrate one of our city council meetings to get us to stop the approval of this policy. They filed an FPPC complaint against one of our council members who is a green builder, claiming that she should not have taken the vote. There was a lot of really unfortunate division caused actually over this policy. And so I think if I had any advice for other electeds moving into these more controversial policies, it would be to really make sure that you're doing a lot of upfront work in terms of connecting with your community in general and making sure that you're including a lot of stakeholders and getting good, factual, simple information out to the community. And don't forget spots like next door, which I don't know how other electeds feel, but next door is, I feel like, a space where facts and hope go to die. So don't forget spaces like that where misinformation seems to spread like wildfire. So make sure you're including all members. We had labor unions, historically marginalized groups included, and a lot of other stakeholders in our community that we were able to get good information out to get this through.
Well, great, Mayor. It sounds as if it's been a challenge, and I congratulate you for seeing it through and on your re-election. It's always great when somebody takes one of your favorite issues and makes it a campaign platform, and you win by mandate. It's happened to me a couple times, and it's a very good feeling. I thought, well, you did have an eye on, or an ear to what the public wanted, and it's clear that you do. Next, I think what I'd like to do is, first of all, thank all the mayors for their comments and insights and advice. But going forward, the one thing that could help other mayors, if you each had one piece of advice to share with a new mayor or another mayor who is looking to do more to reduce their carbon footprint in their city, what would that advice be?
I'll go. Go ahead, Sherry.
So thank you. I would just say keep moving forward and don't be afraid. I think what we've heard from all the mayors is that it isn't an easy road to make those changes, but the public does want to make progress. And so think innovatively, but keep moving forward. Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. Let, take those, moderate steps and keep making progress.
Thank you. Good advice. Anyone else want to jump in on this question?
I'll jump in, and I will say that it's critically important to engage the community. One of the things that we just created was a sustainability committee too. So these are targeted folks who either work in this profession or are very committed to doing this kind of work. And I think working in collaboration with our sustainability coordinator, we can do much more within the city and actually plan and budget for it going forward.
I think that's very good advice too. I've had the benefit here in Carmel of having a group that led by some very dedicated people, but they've got over 1,000 person mailing list. They hold seminars, information, we discuss ideas, and having that community support is critical, especially in a place that may not be one of those places that would be where climate protection issues are at the forefront. Having a group of people, every city has people, so regardless of where it's located, what is political leanings that want to see improvement, and tapping into those people and getting and becoming partners with them, I think is very important. It's a great observation. Anyone else want to jump in on that?
I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'll do a quick one. We're redoing our climate action plan and just kind of finalizing it right now. So we're having lots of community meetings and so forth. But I think kind of leading the way, kind of vetting some companies out there that can do solar, can make these changes to actual people's homes and so forth. So that's a big first step when you're a homeowner and you're so worried about, am I going to get the right person here? And can I do this, and can I afford it and whatever? And as a city, we kind of vetted maybe 3 companies that might be able to help along this. And so they're out there. We don't, it's very careful. You have to worry about liability and all that jazz when you recommend things to your public. But by saying these are companies that we've done, that have done business, that we've not had any problems, and then they're able to offer kind of discounts to our community. So homeowners can take advantage. So then everybody feels like they're contributing, not just the city doing it for you, but everybody's working on it. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Anyone else? I do have one other. I'm sorry. Oh, Richard. Sorry.
Montgomery. Just an easy one. The first, we're all mayors understand that we need someone to round all this up for us. So we hired an environmental program manager 14 years ago. Without her help, we can never get any of this done. We think we can all do it by ourselves as mayors, and we can't. We needed to bring someone in with talent to make it all happen. So 14 years ago, hiring someone, now is where we are today. It took us 14 years to get here, but all started 14 years ago. The right person at the right time.
Having the right staff in place will make it break any administration, local, state, or federal. And that's a great observation as well. Thank you. There's one more question here. We have a little bit of time left, and that is, how would expanded state or federal climate action help your efforts? You want to say you're up, Richard? You want to take that one on?
Well, we're lucky. Colleagues of California will tell you, we do get money for sea level rise studies. California is probably progressive, the most progressive in the country when it comes to environmental action and actually funding. But past that point, Jim, it's all in our cities. It's all on us. That's what we have to focus on. But it comes from us. The feds have not given us, if any, small grant with a block of CBG that's gone away. We don't get any federal funding, but we get state funds. That's very helpful.
It is. Do you think you will have an opportunity in the coming year or two to be able to increase the impact of the federal government in partnership with our cities?
We hope so. New administration, new goals, especially now that Senator Harris is on the right-hand side there with President Biden. We hope that returns to California, what we've all lacked for years.
Anyone else want to jump in on how, especially the federal side, I think, how that could be more helpful?
I'd like to jump in and just say, I think certainty of policy is really important because we really rely on partnerships, on public-private partnerships. And I think when there are these changes in tax credits or changes in what the marketplace is like, that sort of throws in some uncertainty that makes it difficult for those public-private partnerships. I know our solar efforts were really derailed by some changes that were made at the state and federal level, which with respect to how those tax credits worked. And it actually ended up, our partner went bankrupt. So, I think that certainty of and understanding the importance of, it doesn't necessarily have to be cash to the cities, but it has to be policies that make sense to help the industry move forward that can really make a difference.
I agree with that. Absolutely. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Mayor Sheehan. That's exactly what has to happen. If private innovation is going to come from the federal government's either mandates or incentives to get things done, and then we're going to be the beneficiaries of that innovation. And the more competition, the better the pricing, the better it is for our residents and us as customers. So very critical to have, again, that commitment and the long-term commitment of, because if you're going to invest in that innovation, you want to know that there's going to be a long path on that duration on that investment. So.
Anyone else?
I'm not sure if anyone else, maybe in California or other, but we have what we call the EBCE. It's a East Bay Energy, Community Energy. And it started in Sonoma with a group of cities there going together and, being a block and buying energy that was cleaner than what was being supplied by their energy. We have PG&E and San Leandro. And so with this energy block that we have, many Alameda County residents are involved, and you had to automatically opt in. And then if you wanted to, you could opt out. But by having a group that large, we're buying cleaner energy for a less expensive price than we were being supplied before. But that's something that, we're cities down here, and then we have a county, and then we have state government, and then on up. So I don't know if everybody else has that kind of system in their government, but it has to be a group of people to get together to get the kind of price break that we do.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone. This has been a great discussion. I want to congratulate one more time the award winners. All of your projects are great examples to mayors throughout North America, and it's because of your leadership that even this time when we were out of or close to being out of the Paris Climate Accords, that cities have led the way and helped the United States meet its goals, regardless of what the federal government chose to do. I'm optimistic about the future, and it's because mayors have carried the torch in each of their cities for some time now. I particularly want to thank one more time as well, Amy Hill and Walmart for sponsoring this program. As somebody just said, it's about public-private partnerships, and this is a great example of a long-term partnership with mayors throughout the country. And I'm going to turn it back over to Amy for a minute.
Oh, thanks, Mayor Brainerd. And I just, no offense, Mayor Montgomery, but it was very nice to see so many female mayors winning this award this year. So, sorry, Richard, but I just had to comment on that. I think it's all about the collaboration and communication that all of you talked about as well. And I know that so many of you have dealt with a number of great challenges this year, and Walmart has as well, but that didn't mean that climate protection became any less important to us. In fact, this past September, we announced that we're doubling down on addressing the global climate crisis by targeting zero emissions across the company's global operations by 2040. We're going to do this without the use of carbon offsets across our global operations by harvesting enough wind, solar, and other renewable energy sources to power our facilities with 100% renewable energy by 2035. We are electrifying and zeroing out emissions from all of our vehicles, including our long-haul trucks, by 2040. And we're transitioning to low-impact refrigerants for cooling and electrifying our equipment for heating in all of our stores, clubs, and data and distribution centers by 2040. And like so many of you, we're also concerned that the world has pushed its natural resources to the point of crisis. We must all take urgent and sustained action to reverse nature's loss and emissions before we reach a tipping point from which we will not recover. People have pushed past the Earth's natural limits. Healthy societies, resilient cities like all of yours, and thriving businesses rely on nature. Our vision, and one we share with so many of you, is how do we transform both our food and our product supply chains to be regenerative, to protect, restore, and sustainably use our natural resources. So as such, we're committing to help protect, manage, or restore at least 50 million acres of land and 1 million square miles of ocean by 2030 to help combat the cascading loss of nature threatening this planet. So no one mayor, no one city, no one company can do this alone. And again, I am so thankful that for the last 15 years, we've been able to collaborate with all of you and others to make this change. So we look forward to our continued partnership with the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Again, on behalf of Walmart, my colleague Javier Angulo, who's also on this call, congratulations to all the winning mayors in the winning cities, and happy holidays.
Thanks, Amy. Congratulations to all the winners. Thanks one more time to Walmart. Everyone stay safe and enjoy the season. I look forward to seeing everyone in person soon. Bye.
Thank you, Jim. Take care. Bye. Bye, Javier. See you guys.